Joining us via Skype right now is Michelle LaBruzzi. I see I had it right and then I lost it all entirely. Michelle LaBruzzi. There we go. And she is joining us right now from Riverside. But Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And
Happy to be
tell
here.
us a little bit about, you work for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. Tell us a little bit about your role and which offices you help to supervise.
Yeah, I am a regional manager at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I oversee specifically our Southern California Inland Empire locations. So we have offices in Corona, California, California, where I am today, Ontario, Moreno Valley, Menifee, and Temecula. And we're hoping to open a Palm Desert office soon to support some families out there. So that'll be really great too.
Okay. Your audio is breaking up a little bit, so I think, Gabriel, should we take a pause and get her on the phone? All right, so we're going to go to a break because we want you to be able to hear what Michelle says. So we're going to go quickly to a break. We're going to get her on the phone and we'll be right back. Stick with us. LaBruzzi joining us. We've got audio on the phone and we've got her video on the Skype. So Michelle, thank you for being patient with us.
No problem.
And so we had asked you which offices you served, and maybe you would tell us again so that people could actually hear you.
Sure. So Riverside, California, Corona, California, Moreno Valley, California, Ontario, Menifee, and Temecula, California. And then we are looking to open a Palm Desert office soon, too, to support the families out there. I think the plan is to open it in December or January.
How fabulous. And you were telling me during the break, how long have you worked at CARD?
I've been at CARD for 11 years, so I've really grown up at the company. I started as a therapist and then became a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst, and now I'm a regional manager.
Well, we love that. And another good reason to, if people are looking for jobs, CARD is always hiring. And what
Definitely.
a wonderful way to have a career. So thank you so much for being with our families and working so hard. I've got a bunch of questions for you, so I'm going to jump right in. My grandchild does not want to clean up when he pees in his pants. What to do when that happens? What do I do when he refuses to dress up for school and makes us late for school? And what to do if he's throwing things like a cup of juice? So we love that this is a grandma writing in. Michelle, what do we say to her?
Yeah, I think it's great that the grandmother is reaching out. It's a lot of different things, right? Because it's like, first we have to determine, like, why is he doing this stuff? So what I would say probably for the bathroom part is where he's not wanting to clean up. It's really important to, if your, grandchild is potty trained or not, regardless, really prompting him through the process. So what I mean by that is instead of he, has an accident and you just clean it up for him, is kind of assisting him through the steps so he gets more understanding that you're expecting him to clean it up and it's not just going to be you taking care of it. And then setting up some kind of like reinforcer as well, meaning, if he does clean up himself independently or if he does help you with it, you're giving him a high five or some extra love or, maybe a special snack that he likes or a special toy that he likes. So that way you can maybe see him participate more in that expectation too. And then the refusing to dress up for school, I think it seems like a lot of like maybe morning routine things, or he's throwing the cup of juice. Again, you have to kind of determine why he's doing it. So in this case, maybe, he doesn't want to go to school or he doesn't want to wear the certain pants that you picked out. So it might be kind of like he's trying to escape on what it is that you're setting for him to do. So maybe even just setting up like a visual schedule for him or making clear the expectations. And again, like letting him maybe have some choice too. Like maybe he can pick out like what he wants to wear, or he can pick up the order of things that he does. So that way it's still getting done, but he has a little bit more control over his morning. And similar to the cup of juice, if he's throwing things too, is it because he's all done? Maybe, teaching him to say that. Is it because he doesn't want the juice? Maybe giving him some options ahead of time of which cup to use or which kind of juice he has to drink. And then again, really making sure we're reinforcing him and giving him like praise and love when he does do those things that you're asking him to do.
It's interesting that you should say that because I think a lot of times, especially, I'm going to make a generalization here, and then everybody can be offended. But the older that and I'm on the older side of things too. I think the older that people are when they ask these questions, the more the expectation that they're looking for is that you'll say punish them. that there's a consequence for it and punish them. And what I love is when behaviorists like yourself say, so let's up the praise. And in the beginning, I remember the first time somebody said this to me when I said, I can't get him to do what I want him to do. And they said, up the praise. And I was like, no, I think you heard me wrong. What I was saying is I can't get him to do what I want him to do. And they were like, yeah, up the praise. No. He's not doing what I want him to do. Yes, no, you need to praise him more often when he does do the things you want him to do. And it was just talk about communication, miscommunication. I kept being like, no, you don't understand what I'm asking. But the truth of the matter is that when I finally stopped and they said, no, that's literally what we mean, up the praise, I was amazed because I did not expect to see what happened, which is that my child became more compliant. It doesn't, the math on it, because of the way I was raised, doesn't quite work. And so I really want to lovingly say to grandparents and people who were not raised this way, I know it's a whole other way of looking at things, but guess what? It works, and they even have data on it. So up the praise, and then hopefully you won't have all these things that they're going on. And obviously, Michelle, we would hope that this grandparent would carry back the message that if they had an ABA team working on this, so much the better, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, it's one thing. I mean, we all need to learn how to do this. The parents need to learn how to do it. The grandparents need to learn how to do it. But having the ABA team there, setting it in motion and helping us to understand it, there's nothing better. Literally nothing better. The Surgeon General has said so. So this is the gold standard of treatment for autism. So hopefully that grandmother, if you're not already getting ABA, get on a waiting list immediately and get that started. Okay, Michelle, we're going to move on to the next one, which is what do you do while you're waiting to have your child officially diagnosed? That's a hard time.
That's a really good question. I know it's definitely, like, for us, if you're, like, pursuing card services or any ABA services, we always welcome any of our families, even if they're waiting for that diagnosis, but they know that they want to start ABA services for their child, is to get started with the admissions process. So you can kind of start getting your information in. We have, like, a parent portal for our card families, so you can get all the other documents while you're still waiting for that diagnosis to happen, because then what can happen is you can be invited to, like, parent roundtables that we do in the community on a monthly basis. Like, we're offering, like, different training components like behavior management support, kind of like what we talked about with the grandmother earlier. So that's stuff that you can kind of already be in our system, and future card parents, we can invite you to those things, as well as, like, open houses or community events. In regards to just in general, I would say you can definitely reach out to, your local, depending on the age of your child, the school district, because they might be able to give you some supports while you're waiting for that diagnosis to start ABA. You might be able to reach out to your regional center. In our area in the Inland Empire, we have a resource group called the Autism Society of the Inland Empire, and there are a lot of those autism societies around the country. So they have a really great website that just kind of has tons of just community supports and groups. So that's always a good place to start too, just so you can kind of get involved and learn a little bit more while you're waiting for that diagnosis, because I know sometimes it can be a long wait list depending on where you are. And then what else? The other things too, at least at CARD, is we have, our intensive behavioral training, which is you can kind of sign up for, like, parent training courses to get additional support while you're waiting to start.
I love that. And I want to say that training that is available to our parents, it's actually available to everyone around the world if you go to ibehavioraltraining.com. And it's the same trainings you would get if you were a card parent. So ibehavioraltraining.com. They're very inexpensive. If you even wanted to get trained to be, you could be trained to be a registered behavior technician, or you could train to be a BCAT, which is a board certified autism technician. It's a little, I don't think it's the route that most parents go, but there are trainings available on ibehavioraltraining.com that you could do that are 40 hours. So think about that. If you did, 8 hours every weekend over the period of time that you're waiting to be diagnosed, by the time your child was diagnosed, you could be a registered behavior technician. And man, you'd be in a good place to start your child doing the therapies that they need to do. You would have learned a lot. And the whole RBT program for a non-card parent is less than $400. So that's less than your average college class, and you'll take, I think it's like I don't know, it's like 20 different modules. It's a pretty good thing. So thanks for bringing that up, Michelle. Anything else? Because I kind of
Yeah.
interrupted you.
No, I think I kind of ran out of things to offer. Those are the things off the top of
The-
my head.
So many things, though, that you can do. I think the world has paid attention in the last 10 years and given parents things and ways that they can. You don't have to be stagnant. It used to be that you would have to sit and languish waiting for the diagnosis and then languishing on the waiting list. And we want to encourage people not to do that anymore. There are things that you can do.
I think real quick too, Shannon, I was
Yeah.
just thinking, I know in our area we have very specific, some of the funding sources work specifically with like diagnostic centers, and those wait lists can be really long. So I do urge families to, if you get on a wait list somewhere that's local, continue to research and see if there's any referrals for other areas that you're willing to go to get the diagnosis, so you don't have to just wait at that one place.
That's a great tip. Fabulous tip. Okay, our last question is, what is a control stimulus?
Yeah, that's a fun question. It's very like terminology specific. Maybe we can break it down too and talk about just what stimuli is. So like for us, when we do ABA, stimuli in general can be anything that leads to like a certain response, right? Or a change in the environment. So when we talk about stimulus control, we're talking about, at least in my knowledge and hopefully what this person is talking about, is how to like transfer that stimulus control. So we really work on, presenting like a discriminative stimulus or an SD. So the phone ringing is an example of an SD, and that usually leads to somebody answering the phone. Where when the phone's not ringing, it won't lead to that. So that's really what we focus on when it comes to behavior change. So ways that we can kind of transfer that stimulus control, where maybe we have a client who's able to answer questions about his name and his phone number and his address with the therapist. Now we want to ensure that he can transfer that to like a parent when they ask, or transfer to a teacher when they ask, and make it like controlled. So some of the ways that we can do that too is like fading our prompts. We talked earlier about kind of like prompting and helping to elicit that response. So what we can do is maybe we start with what's your phone number, and we have a visual of the phone number, and then our goal is to fade that out to transfer to now you just present the stimulus, what's your phone number, and the client's able to answer that question, and they're able to answer it across different environments and different people.
Okay,
I don't know if that answers the question.
So stimulus control means that if let's say that you train me so that every time I see a purple cup, I take a drink. That's not a useful thing, but let's say that that's what it is.
Sure.
Right? But so that every time you would want to get it to the point where that every time I saw the purple cup, I would know that I can pick it up and take a drink. Use the example of the phone. So that means that when the stimulus is there, that we behave in a certain way, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And then over time, we may want to, as you said, transfer that from one thing to another. So for things like when a child goes to school and the teacher says, let's take out your books and turn to page 12, we would want them to have the same response every time that they hear the teacher say, take out your books and turn to a page.
Exactly. And then you know that stimulus kind of has fallen under stimulus control.
Okay. That makes a certain amount of sense to me. All right. Well, Michelle, we want to thank you so much for all the work that you do with all the kiddos that you do. And please say hi to everybody there in the Inland Empire. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys are doing great.
Well, you're doing great too. And have happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, you too. It's here already.
It is. It's a week from today. All right. Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that was Michelle LaBruzzi, and she's one of our experts here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders.